I the a-hole for telling my husband's female friend he might be your best friend but you're not his? Long story short, my husband has one of those female friends. I'll call her Sarah. Her and I get along fine, but every once in a while she'll make a comment or sit a little too close or touch him a lot, or competes with me on how close they are, or how well she knows him. She's one in a big group of about 11 friends. I've talked to my husband about her several times, but it's so many added up micro actions that it's hard to tell her off for one singular thing without looking crazy. Well, this past weekend, the group of friends got together for the first time since we're now all boosted. My husband and I eloped a few weeks ago, and this was the first time most were seeing us since. Sarah came right up and got in our face as the group was congratulating us, to tell my husband how disappointed she was in him for not telling her about our ceremony, not inviting her, not even sending her a photo. He told her nobody except our parents knew. Nobody was invited, and we don't have our professional photos back. This girl started sobbing. How could you do this to her? That she wanted him to be her man of honor when she gets married. She's single, and he didn't even invite her to his. And their friendship now needed some serious TLC to recover. This is in front of the whole group. I couldn't take it anymore and said, he might be your best friend, but you're not his. And this was between me and him. You were not even a consideration. There was so frosty oohs from the crowd, and she left the house. The crowd is split. They were all my husband's friends before I came into the picture, and some think it was uncalled for, and that I should have just let my husband handle it. I was mad in the moment, but now I don't know. Too far? Now for the top comments. Not stay home. She stepped over the line with her sobbing and demands publicly, and she needs TLC? She got a whole relationship in her head that may or may not exist, and your husband needs to draw that line in the sand. Yep, the TLC comments was, I think, what triggered me. The only tender thing I ask for my friend is chicken. Not stay home. I braced myself after I read one of those female friends. But now? Holy hell. Literally en route to see my best friend and his wife. No freaking way did I react that way when they eloped. Now I am as close to her as I am to him. Sounds like she pictured your husband as her fallback guy at least. Sobbing? That is deranged. Not stay home. But I'm curious as to why your husband hasn't distanced himself from someone who doesn't respect your relationship. They don't do things one-on-one anymore, but she's still within the main friend group, so hard not to have her around. He still needs to set boundaries. Her behavior was way out of line. She's honestly acting like your husband is either a fallback person for her or the one who got away. Crap needs to be shut down immediately, and you two need to be a united front about it. Not stay home. She was trying to make your marriage about her and her feelings. Not stay home, and I wish you could see how hard my eyes rolled reading this post. Talk about no boundaries. She's so transparently into your husband it's almost painful. While you definitely could have let him handle her, you weren't out of line in the least. This girl needs to know where she stands, and that's well behind you. Nicely done. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister's husband out of my house because of what he did? I, female 34, lost my husband 8 weeks ago. He had cancer and it got treated, then it came back. It was and still is so devastating. I'm trying to stay collected and welcoming to all the supportive family members who come to offer help, despite my constant change in mood due to grief. My sister is the most supportive one, although her husband would act inappropriately sometimes, especially after he told me after the funeral that now I'm burden-free and can live my life, given I was my husband's sole carer. I try to let go of those comments thinking he didn't know better. He, my sister, and my family came to visit last week. They cooked dinner for me and kept me company for a bit. After dinner, my brother-in-law asked for a minute with me inside the kitchen. He started telling about a co-worker of his who's single, and then went on to list everything good about him. I was confused as to why he was telling me all that. He then reached out for his pant pocket and pulled a piece of paper with his co-worker's phone number on it, telling me to give him a call sometime. I was floored. I couldn't really tell if he was joking or what, but he looked serious and kept insisting I take the number. I lost it. I just started yelling at him that my husband just died, and he was out of his mind to try to hook me up with a co-worker of his. I tried to explain that it wasn't like that, and that he was just offering me something helpful, but I didn't know what he meant. I called him disrespectful, then yelled at him to get out of my house. My sister and the others ran into the kitchen not knowing what was going on. I told them, then pressured him to leave my house, but my sister asked that I calm down, but I couldn't. He left, then my sister left quietly. After I'd calmed down, I sat with my family, and they said I was right in that what he did was not okay. But I needed to keep in mind that he and my sister helped so much by cooking for me, comforting me and doing so much for me in these difficult times. So I shouldn't have reacted like that, and could have been a little more considerate and graceful. They said kicking him out was too much, that I should call him later and talk things out so I won't ruin my relationship with him and possibly my sister. It's been days and haven't called, and my sister hasn't visited or called, which means she's upset with me. And now I'm beginning to think they're most likely hurt because I acted ungrateful after everything they've done for me. Not stay home. Actions are not balancing each other. It doesn't work like that. It's not as if preparing meals for someone allows you to be inappropriate with them afterwards. Exaggerating here. I prepared a meal for you, and I think you are stupid, by the way. Hey, don't insult me. Well, I cooked for you, remember? Seen elsewhere on AITA today and somewhat applies. A favor held for ransom is no favor at all. Not stay home. He was way out of line and needed to be told to back off. How cold and rude. You are grieving for your husband, and you may never want to date again. It's only been 8 weeks. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sending you my sincerest condolences. You don't owe anyone an apology. What he did was outright callous. Not stay home. He was clueless and cold and totally lacked empathy. Grief makes us extremely sensible, so of course his rudeness was extra painful. This is where, if you want, there is a room to mend a relationship. If you want. You can call your sister and say that you appreciate everything they have done to support you since your husband's death, but that your brother-in-law's offer was too soon and misguided, and that in grief your reaction was amplified. If he is willing to apologize for his lack of tact, you can apologize for the force of your reaction. You did not overreact. I think he should be the one to make the first gesture towards reconciliation, but he has proven he lacks completely in compassion and sense. So if you feel like it, this could be a way to move past this. Not stay home. I can't tell if your brother-in-law is an actual jerk, or just astoundingly lacking in empathy and social judgment. But either way, his actions were wildly insensitive and inappropriate, and your actions completely understandable. Agreed. It'd be one thing if the coworker runs a support group for widowers, but brother-in-law didn't even specify that, just said it could help. I would never think to shove a phone number into the hands of a recent widow without a really good explanation, and he gave none. My mom is a widower, and it took her 4 years to even contemplate dating again. She has a lot of friends who fulfill her life, so dating isn't top priority for her right now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for buying 2 of the same small car instead of a more practical car? My boyfriend is frustrated I didn't consider his needs. For a few years, I've had a newer Miata as my only car. I found it practical for myself. I've even traveled across country in it twice. My boyfriend doesn't find it as practical. He is 6'2" and finds it small. Plus, he doesn't like to pack lights when traveling. It is frustrated at only being able to bring 1 suitcase. Anyway, I wanted a car to take to track days, that I could mod more than my daily driver. I mentioned to my boyfriend that I was shopping around for another car. I wanted something to track, but he also was gonna keep it street legal so he could have a second car. He doesn't have a car of his own, so sometimes things are logistically difficult. I was looking at a few options for cars on Craigslist and then spotted a great deal on a 1997 Miata. It needed some work, but that's my hobby anyway. I jumped on it because that kind of deal doesn't stick around for long, and that same afternoon I bought the car. I got to work on it over the weekend and got it repaired well enough to be drivable. And I'm planning to add a roll cage, suspension upgrades, new sway bars, and new tires. But on Sunday when my boyfriend came back from a weekend trip he was taking, he was really upset to see the car. He was incredulous and bought a second of the same car, this one even smaller. He said he was expecting something full-sized which could fit more than 2 people. He has visitation every month with his kids he had with his ex, and he either has to take them on the bus or during COVID have his ex drive them to him and pick them up. So he was frustrated I didn't get a 5-seater car that could fit the kids along with us. I said I never knew he expected anything but me picking a track day car, picked out primarily to race, and letting him drive whatever it was if he needed to occasionally. But it seemed like he saw me getting the second car as primarily a car for him or our household. He said he wasn't trying to act entitled, but he did expect me to at least be considerate of his situation, and not just be like, me, and go buy a second car that is my favorite car but doesn't consider him at all. Am I the a-hole for buying a second Miata? Now for the comments. So let me get this straight. You bought your car with your money, and your boyfriend who didn't pay for anything and doesn't have a car but likes the convenience of having one and being driven places by you is mad because you didn't spend your money on a car that he wants so that he can use it to drive around his kids? Alexa, play No Scrubs. Not stay home. Why doesn't he buy a car of his own to cart his kids around in? You needed another car for track day, not another daily rider. Sounds like he should ask you to help him find a fixer-upper and help him fix it up. His crappy life choices are not your responsibility. You're being kind enough to let him use your car. Does he live with you? Not stay home. He doesn't have to like your car. Not stay home. 1, it's your money. 2, it's your car. 3, it fits your needs. 4, he is a boyfriend, not a husband. 5, if he wants a car to fit him plus kids, he can buy one with his own money. Pretty much this. I don't understand people saying everyone sucks here because kids are involved. They have been dating for 2 years but only living together for 3 months. I would never just buy a whole freaking car just for a boyfriend. He wants a family-friendly vehicle or even a vehicle in general. He can buy his own. She's just letting him borrow it if he wants to use it, but she doesn't owe him anything, kids or not. Not stay home. It's your money and your car. If you wanted a car that fit him, he could buy one. Those aren't your kids. You're not responsible for their transportation. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my wife for giving my daughter a picture of my estranged mom for a family tree project? I was really close to my mom growing up, but she cut me off 12 years ago. She was kind of always a cold and awkward person, but she texted me that she didn't want to see me again. She hates my wife more than she loves me. And if she never has to see my wife again, it's worth not seeing me. It hurt like heck, and I had to go to grief counseling. One thing my mom had said was she mourned me like I died, and that I should let her go. I did the same, and I try not to think about her. But sometimes I think about the fact I have a whole family out there and just can't see them. It is a mind screw. Recently, my daughter had a school tree project. She knows the very basics, that my mom is alive, but we don't talk. I figured we'd leave both of my parents off it. Dad walked out. Well, last night my daughter showed it to me, and it had my mom on it. Just seeing her was hard for me, and it was clearly a new picture. I kept it together in front of my daughter, but I asked my wife, and she said she got it off Instagram because she didn't want half of the poster to be empty. I lost it, and said she just hurt me so bad for a freaking poster, and how could she do that? She said I was overreacting, and that my mom still gave birth to me, so she should be there. I called her selfish and heartless, and slept in another room last night. She thinks I overreacted, but I think she crossed a huge boundary. Info. Why does your mother hate your wife more than she loves you? There's a whole backstory here that's missing. And why can't he see any of the rest of his family? They took her side. Sisters cut me off while aunt financially blackmails her kids into not seeing me. Answer the question. There may not be a real reason. My dad's mom hated my mother simply for existing. My grandpa's mom hated my grandma because she basically hated everyone. And a woman across the street brags about how she doesn't see 2 of her sons because she never liked their wives. Some women are just kind of horrible to the insignificant others. There doesn't have to be a reason. No a-holes here. The real a-hole is the teacher who assigned a project like this. Complete disregard for children's situations such as broken homes, foster care, etc. I suspect to have them present and explain to the class. This project should honestly not exist. It is literally no teacher's business what your home looks like. I can understand your wife wanting your daughter to feel like she does have a family and wanting her to know what her grandmother looks like. I can also understand you wanting your wife to respect the boundaries. She should have spoken to you first about it, And you should have acknowledged that at some point your kid is going to want to know more, and hiding family members from her isn't helpful. Edited to add because people are pressed. My dad taught elementary school for several years. Literally decades later, he is still haunted by some of the familial situations that some of those kids were in. While it sounds great to teach students that family models look different, it should never be done at the expense of a child. You are opening up a can of worms and a barrage of questions that other students now feel entitled to asking when you have someone explain that family member isn't in their life. What if that parent was an abuser to the child? What if the child's home life was bad enough to where they were removed? What does your child need to know what happened to Opie's kid's grandma? As someone who is in the exact same family situation, my mother-in-law's cut off because she didn't want a relationship with my husband if it included me, I would say not stay home. However, as I'm sure you know, it's almost impossible to understand the dynamics of a situation like this unless you've been through it. So you're going to get a lot of YTAs on this post. Since your wife was there for all of this struggle, I'm really surprised that she chose to include your mother's photo. It took my husband and I years of individual and couples counseling to come to peace with our situation. You and your wife might consider a couple of maintenance marriage counseling sessions to work through this. Also, 100% agree with the previous poster that projects like this are awful. So many kids don't have the picture-perfect family, and so many include trauma that this is not worth it. There are better ways to teach kids what it means to be a second cousin once removed. Yes, I always hated these projects in school, since I didn't know my dad, and my mom knew next to nothing about him, so they would always be completely empty in one half. A teacher actually argued with me one time that I had a dad after I told her I didn't. These projects just make anyone without a picture-perfect family feel super awkward and awful. And I love the family I do have, and wouldn't change my upbringing for anything, but those projects still suck.
Finally found out why my friends don't want me going on my date tonight. Pretty annoyed. Original post. For context, I'm 35 male and my date is 43 female. We actually met because she's in a hobby group with my mom and she encouraged us to go out together. Two of my friends and their girlfriends didn't approve when they found out. At first it was because she was a few years older than me and because she's a friend of my mom's. But after pointing out that at our age, 8 years is not a big gap and my mom was supportive, they just called it weird and creepy to date her. Eventually, after everyone else I asked seemed confused about the problem like I was, they came clean and admitted they had been talking to my ex who left me a year ago, and she had been missing me. My ex is friends with the two disapproving girlfriends, and they all have been planning to try and get us back together, like some kind of trashy romance plot. My ex left me after we were together for a year because she just didn't feel right about our relationship. It hurt like hell at the time, but I've moved on. I've run into her a few times and been polite, but I have no interest in a relationship or even a friendship with her. She's not part of my life anymore, and I'm keeping it that way. My friends made me feel like I was crazy and weird for wanting to go on a date with a woman I get along with. We've hung out a lot in other settings, just not on a date yet. Also, they could try and force my ex back into my life. My ex texted me this morning asking if we could meet up and talk, and I told her that I wasn't interested in anything she had to say, and that I'd like to keep my distance from her. I'm also putting some distance between myself and the two friends who are playing along with their girlfriend's stupid game. On the plus side, I'm really looking forward to our date tonight. Dinner, drinks, and a walk through town to enjoy the nice weather we're getting. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Trying to manipulate you into canceling a date because they care more about the feelings of the girl that dumped you doesn't really sound like something real friends would do. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed that they were willing to play along with all this. They aren't my closest friends, so I'm strongly considering just moving on from them completely. That's freaking weird, man. I would be pretty upset if my friends were conspiring with my ex to get me back with her and ruining my chance to find something with someone else. This sounds like something a bunch of 20-year-olds would do. I can't imagine a world where any of my friends wouldn't just say, "Hey man, your ex has been talking about you a bunch. You think there's a chance? She's interested." This all sounds way immature and weirdly conspiratorial. I know Reddit is always burn the bridge, divorce, leave, kill the dog, or whatever, but I would really reconsider these friendships. It's one thing to try and put you two in the same room, still weird, but alright? And another to make you feel bad and actively get you to not date a woman you're interested in. Anyway, have fun on the date, man. Hope it works out. You're right. It was absurd that they did all this, instead of just letting me know she was interested. I would have said no still, but at least then it would be done and there wouldn't be any drama. Now they are my ex-friends, and I think it's for the best. Your ex has decided she is now willing to settle for you. How dare you not be available for her? Screw that. Go enjoy your date and see how things go. Now for the first update. Just got home. Did not expect this much support. Figured I'd let anyone finding this late or checking back in know. Date went very well. Haven't had a first date go that well, I think, ever to be honest. Second date has already been planned. I'll be cooking dinner and we'll be watching a few terrible movies we both share a love for. As for my crappy ex-friends, I've already told them we're done being friends. Luckily, they are part of a separate social circle from my main group of friends, so it's a very easy breakup process there. Ex tried calling me, went ahead and blocked her everywhere I could think of, not letting those idiots ruin an otherwise amazing night. Thanks again for everyone's supportive words. I know I made the right call, but it's nice to be validated, you know? Second update. Wow, this got a lot more attention than it deserved. Came back to hundreds of messages. People wanted to know about date number 2. It went just as well as the first date, I'd say. I made chicken parm, and she got me my favorite cider to drink. We watched Velocipaster because that movie is truly art at its finest. She's an incredible woman, and now we're official. So I get to brag about my awesome girlfriend to anyone who will listen. She's confident, smart, funny, gorgeous, and she knows what she wants. She's very straightforward, which I appreciate. Obviously, it's way too early to tell what the future of this relationship looks like, but for now, I'm happier than I've been in a very long time. Also, my mom is being smug as heck and teasing me relentlessly, but my girlfriend is getting it even worse, because mom and the girls from the hobby club are all ganging up on her. It's all in good fun. I just think they haven't had much new relationship gossip in a while. Ex, her friends, and my 2 ex-friends seem to have accepted the breakup, and I don't expect them to show up knocking on my door demanding we hang out or anything like a few people suspected. With those friends out of my life, I'm no longer likely to even run into my ex, as I only ever saw her when hanging out with those particular friends. Might see her at the store, but even that's unlikely because I go at odd hours to do my shopping. That's it. No big fun drama. I'm happy. Girlfriend is happy. Family and friends are happy. Life is good. Thank you for listening to me yap about my love life on the tail end of a post I wrote just to work off some steam. Next story. Update. My wife, 28 female of 3 years, called me, 35 male, boring for my lack of ambition and being content in life. Original post. I love my job. It's close to home and has flexible hours. The pay isn't bad either, considering I have no degree. My wife and I, with our income, can afford a good living. We have 2 kids, a son and a daughter. My son is 4. We had a kid early on before marriage, was a happy accident, and my daughter is 2. We were talking Friday and I mentioned my boss was leaving. My wife asked if I was going to take his spot. I laughed and said, "Hell freaking no, who wants it?" This led to a fight. My wife accused me of lacking ambition and said I'm boring for just accepting things in life. She said it's insane she has to be the breadwinner. She has to claw her way up the corporate ladder. She's ambitious. She constantly takes overtime and tries to get promoted. But I've been working the same role, same job, for 7 years and just accept it. She thinks I've become boring. My carefree attitude makes her bored. Ambition is sexy. It's what men should be. She said if I grew a backbone, I could be making 6 figures by now. We could be living in New York or have a bigger house. I don't understand her logic. Genuinely don't. I'm happy with my life. I'm content. Why do I have to be a corporate shark, constantly seeking my way up the ladder? I just want to do my 9 to 6 and go home and see my family. I like having my weekends. I like being happy. We have money. For once, we aren't struggling in life. How can I tell my wife I'm just happy? Why is someone being happy seen as wrong? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Very simple. You two have completely different views on life. I am a similar age to your wife. I am still studying and not planning to stop anytime soon. I could not see myself in your position, working the same job for years, having kids and all that. I'd be extremely bored. Also, 35 is pretty young to be the age you stop at, in my opinion. So I can understand her. It's just a difference in values. You want to just have a simple, easy life, while she wants to build a career. I think this is an issue you should have discussed long ago. It will cause future problems, most likely. Ugh, that was an error on my part. I'm always growing as a person. You never stop growing until you're dead. But so people understand from my point of view, I'm happy with my life. I love my job. It's not a job, honestly. I love my wife and my kids and everything we managed to obtain. We made 2 freaking wonderful kids together. Nothing else would come 1/100th as close to that. It's our greatest achievement. I get that life can be boring. We aren't young. We don't go out anymore. I get she's feeling stress from work, but she told me from day one she is ambitious, and once she sets her eyes on something, she will never stop until she gets what she desires. She never settles for anything less than that. I get that. But I'm the opposite. I'm not ambitious, but I mean I don't just accept crap. I'll fight for my family and goals, but what after? Me, once I get those goals, I'm happy. She isn't and will not just settle. For a while she was happy, but now she admits she wants more. For the longest time, I was the breadwinner. She would quit her job if they didn't give her a raise or promotion. She got a big promotion to salaried last year and a raise a few months ago. She claims she'll be getting a bigger promotion soon. All these hours will pay off. I guess we really were 2 different people. I also blamed her expressing her unhappiness as being the result of her period. That was my bad. I absolutely take the fault for that. I'm not blowing her claims off. I know she's under a ton of pressure and stress at work. Even when she comes home, she still gets calls from work and has to deal with work. She never has a day off. I'm well aware. It was crappy of me to blame it on that. I apologize. I think you two need to sit down and discuss your life goals. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? Discuss your ideas and compromise. Is there really a compromise that works in this situation? There is a reason this is a topic covered in premarital counseling, which if everyone got, we'd have less marriages and less divorces. A misalignment of life goals isn't really something you can work past. Now for the update 5 days later. Well, it's a divorce. We're just 2 different people going in different directions. So, her initial reasons were envy. She admits she was envious that I could just accept my life the way it is and be happy with so little. I could be happy never moving up in my career. She was envious that I could go home happy and not stressed and not dread the work week. She never has that luxury. She's always stressed, always feeling worthless for getting such a late start in life. But the real reason? She's not happy with her life. She admits to me she cannot be happy with this life. Living in the suburbs, being a soccer mom, this life isn't for her. She tried making it work, but she can't do it. She wants to constantly claw her way up the ladder, constantly strive to improve. She wants a big house, to be rich, to be somebody, and not just live. She wants someone who is equally as ambitious. Not me, someone who is content. She wants to be with someone who is willing to take major risks, make spur-of-the-moment plans. To her, it's like a constant pressure. She doesn't want to stay in one place or do the same thing forever. I'm the exact opposite. I don't want to constantly be moving or constantly be doing more. I want to be happy and live a quiet, humble life. She cannot understand how I could want that, and I cannot fathom why she wouldn't either. So we're left at an impasse. We've both decided we can't go on. It isn't fair to either of us, nor our kids. Not a happy update, I guess. She admits she was envious. I could just accept my life the way it is and be happy with so little. Honestly, your wife seems to put a lot of importance on money and prestige to fill whatever emptiness she has. You can be a content person who spends time with your family and still be somebody. Sorry you're divorcing, but I think it'll be better for everyone in the long run. That's society as a whole. Go look at the last thread. So many people calling me a loser, a failure for not sharing the same ideals. I've had so many people DM saying how much a loser I am for not wanting to be rich. I had everything I wanted. Nice job, nice house, a family, no worries about money. But it's never enough. Never will be enough. The idea you aren't chasing after the dollar is seen as backwards. Reminds me of the story of the businessman trying to convince the fisherman to start a fishing business, grow a fleet of fishing ships, make $1 million, and retire. Fisherman asks what he'd do when he retires. Businessman says he'd get to spend his days leisurely fishing. Fisherman says that's what he's doing now. That's actually a great analogy. Why live a life you don't enjoy if you can enjoy your life now? We're also not guaranteed a one day. We can make plans for what we'll do one day once we have enough money, time, etc. But not everyone gets to live that long. It would be a shame to spend your life being miserable, toiling away in the hopes you'll get to finally enjoy your life later on, only to die before you get there. Then what was the point? As much it sucks, this is the best solution for both sides. It's better than be stuck in a marriage where bitterness and sadness will drown away both sides. Wishing for the best for both. Last story. How can I, 32 female, not feel resentful that I make significantly more money and work significantly more hours than my husband, 36 male? I, 32 female, have been married for almost 7 years to my husband. When we first got married, I made around $60,000 a year. We got married, and I went back to school for 3 hard and stressful years, during which he provided financially for us. I now make about $225,000 a year. He makes around $85,000 a year. I have a highly stressful job in healthcare and work around 45 hours per week. He is very lucky and works from home, and I would say on average works 2 hours a week. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just how his job works apparently. He is very sweet. He makes my smoothie and coffee in the morning, as I have to leave pretty early for work, around 5:45 a.m. He does the grocery shopping during the day, and if I ask him to clean something in the house, he'll do it without complaining. The issue is, I cannot help but feel resentful of the fact that not only do I make significantly more money, but I also have to work over 40 hours a week, while I know he is at home playing video games much of the day and only actually working a small part of the day, maybe just answering a few emails. When I get off work around 7 p.m., he won't have dinner ready unless I specifically ask him to make XYZ on the way home from work. On top of that, certain things aren't taken care of that I wish would be done without me having to specifically ask. For example, we forgot about the homestead exemption this year, so we missed out on that. Since he stays home, I wish those kinds of things were just handled without me having to remind him. I would love to be able to stay at home, especially if we were to have children in the future. But the difference is that if it were turned around, I would have dinner ready for him when he got home, and he wouldn't have to ask me to do different things around the house during the day. They would just be done. Maybe this is the difference between a man and a woman. I also have decision fatigue at work, so when he asks what I want for dinner, I kind of just wish he would say, "Hey, we're having XYZ for dinner. See you when you get here." We have talked about all of this before, but it hasn't seemed to get any better for me. I still feel resentful when I call him after a long, stressful day and ask what's for dinner, and he says, "Well, we have salmon and beef we could make. What do you want?" I do want to have children, but I also feel like I'll still have to work full-time, make most of the decisions with them, and do most of the child rearing. How can I not feel resentful about making more money, working significantly more hours every week with a stressful job, and then still having to ask for things around the house to be done while he's at home? Please help, and thanks in advance. From your description, I don't know if it's about the money. Kind of sounds like you want him to carry more of the mental load, and that you're tapped out by the time you get home. Sounds like he had more energy too at the end of the day, and you don't because of the nature of your jobs. Talk to him about that and see if he can take on more of that so you don't have to worry about it or expend energy you really don't have to give. I need one of those 2-hour-a-week for $85,000 jobs. Jeez. I have a friend like this who basically works part-time at $85,000 because he has 2 degrees and over 10 years in his field. He worked his butt off to get to this point. He could easily work twice as hard for twice the pay, but the wage is what he wants for his stable income. He journals every day and is always networking. During COVID, he did his job while watching the 2 kids in video school. His son did get bored and cut his own hair, but otherwise the kids were fine. He has a board in his office with his goals for the future. Last year, he decided he wanted 7 forms of passive income and was researching that. These tend to be the kinds of people that have these types of jobs. Meanwhile, I'm on Reddit with zero energy.